Welcome to the Engineers Hub podcast, where engineers come to connect, learn, grow, and get inspired. On every episode, we will be interviewing engineers, managers, technical experts, and industry leaders from various disciplines to share their stories and experience, uncover various engineering career paths, and inspire engineers to do more and be more. This is your host, Mamadou Jallo. Let's get started. Alrighty, hello.
Yo, man.
Jewel, how you doing, man?
Not too bad, not too bad. Thanks. Yourself?
I'm doing good as well. Djoulde Bah, Mr. Djoulde Bah. First of all, man, I want to begin by actually thanking you for taking the time to do this. I know there's a million and one things you could be doing right now, but you are going to come to this, so I appreciate that. Um,
No. Thank you for inviting me, brother.
yeah. So if we guess, I guess we could just get right into this. If you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit, tell our audience, what it is that you do, and we can just start from there and go from there.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Well. First of all, my name is Djoulde Bah,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm originally from Guinea. Moved to the UK back in 2007, in January 2007. So I think I was about 14 when I moved. No, 15. 15.
Oh
Yeah, I
wow.
remember that now. And so yeah, I lived in the UK,
Mm-hmm.
specifically in Southampton,
Mm-hmm.
uh, south of the, south of London as well. So it's not far from London. It's about 70 miles away from London.
Mm-hmm.
So right now I am doing electrical engineering.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually a project engineer for the network rail company called Network Rail in the UK. So
Mm-hmm.
they are the UK railway owner.
I see.
So yeah, and I completed my bachelor degree in building services engineering at London South Bank University literally this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I just completed it, and sadly
Congratulations.
we can't. Sadly, I know. Sadly, we can't do any graduation due to the COVID-19. But
Yeah.
hopefully, after a few months, we'll celebrate that as well.
Okay, yeah, congratulations
Yeah,
on that. But
yeah.
so you say you just completed your degree in network building services engineering.
Yeah, I did building services engineering. So the way I joined, I became an engineer
Mm-hmm.
back in 2012. So
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted to be a doctor,
I see.
like as a kid. So I came here, I did biology, physics, math, and then I did chemistry at
Mm-hmm.
college. And so I got introduced in engineering because in the UK we do have something they call career development programs. So
Mm-hmm.
whereas a lot of companies across the UK comes in at colleges to introduce what they do
Mm-hmm.
as a work, so to get younger people to get involved.
Mm-hmm.
So I met this person. It's a career event. I
Mm-hmm.
met this person. He said he worked in the marine sector as an engineer,
Mm-hmm.
electrical engineer. He
Mm-hmm.
said to me, why do you want to become a doctor? So I explained to him. He said, have you ever considered becoming an engineer? So, and then he told me really good stuff about engineering. He said, look at the road that you drive to.
Mm-hmm.
Is built by, is designed by civil engineers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your house, for example, you go and you turn the light on, and
Mm-hmm.
electrical engineers and mechanical engineers, the
Right.
ventilation system, and all of that. He explained to me, and then I was very overwhelmed. So
Uh-huh.
therefore, I then applied for an apprenticeship.
Mm-hmm.
Apprenticeship is a program. I believe possibly America do the same thing as the UK,
Yeah.
whereas you learn while you are working at the
Mm-hmm.
same time.
Yeah.
So I got lucky. I got this company who offered me the position in building service engineering
Uh-huh.
as an apprentice. So I was doing that. I was working 2.5 days a week and then
Mm-hmm.
studying 2.5 days a week. I did that for 3 years.
Uh-huh.
So I completed my apprenticeship, and then I got a job later on for the local authority in the UK as a junior electrical engineer.
Mm-hmm.
So they offered me the position. They told me if I'm interested to go to university as well, so they
Mm-hmm.
would pay for it. Because in the UK, the education system can be very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you either have to, um, you know, the government will pay for you regardless,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to pay them back when you finish
It's
university,
a loan.
when you get a job. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, I got lucky, whereas companies can fund me like
Right.
fully,
Uh-huh.
where I can actually complete without owing nobody anything. So therefore, that's how I became an engineer.
All right. Wow. That's like a unique story because I don't know if somebody like I don't know if I know anyone with that unique story where they actually like begin with working in the field and then eventually like then kind of like finish their studies at the end and kind of like stayed in the field.
Yeah,
Um, that's
yeah, yeah.
it's
I mean,
interesting.
there are a few people who does it, and but again, it's not a lot of people, especially for somebody who come from Guinea,
Right.
whereas the opportunity is very limited. And then you come to the UK, and then you do all of these type of courses. You get
Mm-hmm.
funding by the local authorities and government in the UK, where they can actually support you.
Mm-hmm.
Like my course is being, even though I changed company over time when I was going to university,
Uh-huh.
even though I did that, for every company I moved to, they
Uh-huh.
always agreed to take over to pay for my university so I can pursue that.
Wow.
And yeah, which is really beneficial. So I finished this year, but by the time I finish, I'm already a project
Yeah,
engineer.
you already experienced
So I
like
was I
that's
was already an engineer,
yeah, that's yeah.
like 3 years ago. So now I'm a project engineer at the same time. So it's really good, to be honest.
I
And
honestly think that's the best way of doing it where you are gaining experience and also studying and not just doing
yeah,
theory because a lot of times when you're just doing theory you don't really know what you don't know the purpose of what it is that you're learning, and like you don't know where
absolutely,
it's applied.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely, absolutely. That's exactly the reason why I became, I was really keen in having that apprenticeship,
mhm.
because the apprenticeship gave me a platform where I can actually learn,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, you know, both uh, technical and and the design skills as well, like
Mhm.
not just practical skill, but also the design side of things.
Mhm.
So it's really valuable in your
Yeah.
long road, but it's well, you know, paying off.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely paying off. I see that. So, you know, like your origin is kind of similar to mine. I actually didn't know this, but I was also born in Guinea. I'm sure you know that. But
Yeah.
I actually came here at the age of 13 as well. So I spent like the
Right.
first 13 years of my life in Guinea, and then I came here and I
Yeah.
went through high school here. And
Right.
then when I graduated high school, the only really option that was in my mind at the time was medicine,
Yeah.
and I think that's the only option I knew. But I just wasn't sure about the medicine thing. So I ended up going to community college, right? Community
Yeah.
college is like the 2-year colleges they have in the U.S. They're not like the 4-year university,
Right.
So
Right.
I I went over there and the tuition was kind of low enough like that. The state covered it where I lived in.
Mm.
So I did general studies because I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. And
Right.
I didn't know about engineering at all, right?
Mm.
But then when somehow along the way, I kind of like, I was always good in STEM, right? And I liked
Yeah.
math and problem solving. I liked doing challenges. And then I kind of learned about engineering and what it is and what engineers do. So I was like, oh man, I want to do this. Like it's
Yeah.
everybody's saying this is so hard. Like, okay, well, I need something to
Yeah.
challenge me. So I'm just do this. So
Yeah.
I ended up,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I ended
Yeah.
up kind of leaning towards mechanical engineering because it was just so like your options are unlimited, right? And that's
Mhm.
one of the
Mhm.
thing I discovered about like engineering is like you can really do anything with your degree, right? There's no
Yeah.
limits to what you can do or how you can use it, and
Yeah.
and from there on, I got my associate degree, and then I eventually like transferred to a 4 university and got my bachelor's degree. Um, so I
That's
think it's really
good. That
amazing.
is good.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah. So
amazing.
you basically you got almost the same experience as I am.
Yeah, I was fortunate
We.
enough. I also got like apprenticeship, or over here we call it internship, right? So
Yeah.
so after my second year of engineering school, I got an opportunity to work for this company, so it kind of like helped expose me into the engineering discipline, into the
Yeah, we
field, right?
we we also have internship here as well.
Oh,
Internship is for people who goes, for example, to university,
oh, okay.
right?
Mhm.
Whereas, let's say the university is 5 years, for
Mhm.
example, you
Mhm.
study 3 years,
Mhm.
and then you do your internship for 1 year,
Mhm.
and then you come back and then you finish your final year,
Oh yeah.
and we have that as well. But
Okay.
apprenticeship is a little bit different because
Mhm.
without going to university after college you do your
Mhm.
apprenticeship.
I
But
see.
now
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
government has introduced university level apprenticeship, which is
Uh,
really good as well. So they try because they find, especially in the UK, they found out there are less engineers across the world anyway,
mhm.
and what they have done is every organization that engineering company that employ making profit more than £5 million
Uh huh.
automatically contribute
Uh
to
huh.
the educational system in the
Mhm.
UK.
Mhm.
So regardless,
Wow.
you pay 10% to the universities.
Mhm.
So if somebody want to become an engineer,
Mhm.
when you recruit them, so that funding you already pay
Mhm.
can be toward a fee. So
Oh
it's
wow.
like encouraging young people to get involved in engineering, so without having to worry
Mhm.
about paying back the loan after that.
Oh,
And
that's.
in the at the same time,
Mhm.
um, increase productivity.
Mhm.
Like literally, it's a really good system, and
Yeah.
I like it.
Definitely. I.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I
Yes.
don't know if there's any system like that. I know here in the
Mm.
U.S. we have the internships, and for that you have to apply. Some are paid, some
Mm.
are not paid. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we have the
So
apprenticeship.
yeah,
Apprenticeship.
apprenticeship is basically you get paid when you're
Mhm.
doing your apprenticeship. But
Mhm.
for example, if you finish university, let's say your starting salary can be 30,000 or 40,000 pounds. Yeah,
Mhm.
as an example, if you are an apprentice, they pay £20,000,
Mhm.
right?
Uh-huh.
Which is less than that's a year, for
Right.
example, or they can pay you £25,000 a year.
Mhm.
But if you are a graduate, they pay you a little bit more.
Mhm.
But after you complete your apprenticeship, even if you're not a graduate, then
Mhm.
your salary can get better more than somebody who's graduate. So you end
Oh
up
wow.
paying, without even going to university,
So the
you already
experience
earn
is
about
more valuable than just
35,
a
forty
degree.
thousand pounds,
Yeah.
for example. That's just an example. And then when you go to university, you finish your university, plus you don't have a debt.
Right.
So internship, you still have because internship, as I explained, some of them are paid in the UK, some of them
Right.
are not paid as well,
Yeah.
just like
Mhm.
the United States. So you can do 6 month internship,
Mhm.
whereas they pay for your, for example, depending on the organization. Some organization actually can pay you
Mhm.
fully, but some organizations say, you know what, put 6 month work in, and
Right.
then by the time you finish, then they can recruit you
I
as
see.
well, so you can come back and then they pay you the better money now.
I see.
But yeah, apprenticeship is basically practical. You
Mhm.
learn more about practical. So as I explained you a little bit about what I've done when I was an apprentice, I was actually installing electrical services in buildings,
Mhm.
like installing lights from smallest, services in the building. For example, lighting socket or
Levels.
socket
Mhm.
outlet, or
Mhm.
even and then I also did mechanical as a building services
Oh,
engineer.
nice.
You do electrical, mechanical, and BMS,
Uh huh.
what they call building management system.
Mhm.
So, so the mechanical side, you put mechanical in building. It's nothing like process. You know what you do. I
Mhm.
believe you do processes, isn't it? Yeah.
As a
But
mechanical, yeah, we do the with the design and like the I guess the flow of things. Yes.
yeah, yeah, that's right. The flow of things, yeah. But here, as a mechanic, what I was doing in building is basically installing heating systems,
Mhm.
like radiators, boilers,
Mhm.
and HVAC, heating,
Mhm.
ventilation, air conditioning. That's maintaining those. I was actually working for a university, so everything that breaks down in that university, they call us, and then we go in and we fix it from light
Wow.
switch to all the way, to distribution board.
Mhm.
So I decide, and then after, so I did my building services for 3 years. During those 3 years, I was doing both mechanical and electrical. But my final year of the apprenticeship, my final year, so I did 6 months electrical design, and then 6 months mechanical design as well, so I can, now I can install.
Right.
Now the next step is to actually get the knowledge of designing.
Right.
So I then got the knowledge of designing for both electrical and mechanical, and then so and then I also did, as I was telling you, BMS system. So BMS system is controlling everything in buildings using a mobile phone or an iPad or a computer, like turning lighting on, or monitoring the energy consumption in a building, things like that. And I then decided, you know what, I want to become an electrical engineer. And I went to the electrical side of the
I
thing.
had circuit classes. I'll be honest.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, so it's again it,
It's really awesome.
after
Because the thing is, like, see again. Over, at least from what I've seen here on, for example, a lot of us, at least here in the U.S., will come out with an engineering degree, like doing HVAC or doing electrical engineering, and you've never been hands on, right?
Absolutely.
So like
Absolutely.
now somebody's asking you as a mechanical engineer to design like an HVAC system, and you never like physically done the work.
Yeah.
Right. So you can't really put yourself in the environment, and sometimes it kind of leads to, I guess,
that is right.
Conflicts, because you don't have a visual. You cannot really visualize what is on the field, right? So
that's right. Yeah. And I find that a lot of the time, because I know a lot of designers where the design system, they're good designers, but they don't think sometimes, when you look at the system that they design, it's not applicable on site.
Yeah.
So, as a project engineer, like the company I work for right now, we have to have that background. You have to have like a level, like hand-on experience before you can actually do that, because you are being involved in those environments.
Yeah.
So sometimes people design, as you said, they don't understand how it works on site. So you find a lot of challenges when you go to site, and a lot of technical queries start coming all over, and then you have to deal with all of those issues or pass them to the next person to deal with it. Or and that's time consuming. And I think the best way to learn is actually doing it first, and then while you are actually doing the academic study at the same time, because I've done it, and I've seen a lot of people who have done it where they are today at the same time. So, but there's no right and wrong. I mean, depending on what people got offered out there, so it's really good. It's really good.
Definitely. So I'm curious, as a building services and light rail electrical engineer, project engineer now, what what does your day to day look like? I'm just curious.
Yeah. It's hectic. It's really hectic, man. That's the thing. A building services engineer. So for me, again, I have transfer. Like, it's not transfer, because I'm still in the building services industry, but within the rail sector. Before, I was a building service engineer in the construction sector, like in the building service. I mean, in the property sector, or residential, hotels,
commercial stuff like that.
Commercial, all those. Now I am in the rail sector.
So like pretty much the metro system, like the trains and stuff like that.
Yeah, the train system. So I was, I worked in both doing the track design, where the electrical train passes, the higher overhead line. But I then work on the station project now, like major station. So like in the UK, Network Rail, the company I work for, they own all the rail sector in the UK. So the company I left, AECOM, which is a really big company, they are based everywhere in the United States. They're actually American company.
I know. I've heard of AECOM.
You know AECOM.
Yeah.
So I work for them, and so now doing. We used to AECOM project used to come from Network Rail.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to work with network rail engineers quite a
Mm-hmm.
lot, and then went straight away to become a client side. So
Mm-hmm.
to answer your question, is a lot of challenge out there.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I mean, too many standards. You have to
Oh yeah.
familiarize yourself with regulation all
Yeah.
the time,
Uh-huh.
and that's one thing I find very valuable, because if you know about the regulation, is really important, because you
Yeah.
design and you,
You gotta make sure
as a
it's
project
up to
engineer
code.
now, I don't design, I review
Right.
what people design,
Mm-hmm.
consultant design, and then people call you all the time, like, you have to fix it,
Right.
and that's the
Mm-hmm.
problem. And you don't have if you don't have time, you got to find time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's there's never like it doesn't matter if you work 24 hours a day, you're still gonna stuff
mm,
you like you're not gonna be done with like everything that has to
no,
be done.
no. I swear, since I moved to this company, I mean, before I moved to this company, I used to work, maybe when I worked for Aircom, I used to work, it was even challenging, but when I worked with Aircom, I used to do 20 project, I mean, sorry, between 10 project to 15 project maximum per year.
Uh-huh.
That's 10 to 15. They can be range from £3 million
Mm-hmm.
to £100 million range. But
Mm-hmm.
now network rail, you know, I've been with them for 4 months, 5 months,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm having to work on project like 43 projects right now that I'm
Wow.
involved.
Jeez.
Yeah. So I used to say I'm busy, but now I sit down at the computer, looking at staring at the computer the
Uh-huh.
whole day, man. I'm telling you, it's something else. Why about your experience? What do you think?
I mean,
Like
yeah.
from your side?
So yeah, I started as a project engineer back this August.
Right.
For me, it's luckily I work with a subcontractor. So in the construction
Right.
industry, like in bridge transport, bridge building and renovation, and the good thing is, I guess, we're a subcontractor. We usually not hire for the scope of the entire like project, right?
Okay.
So we usually like kind of maybe doing a portion of of the project, right? So if you're building a bridge,
Right.
maybe my company, we might come and install the miscellaneous metals, the structural metals, the
Yeah.
bearings, the install the structure they're gonna be supporting the concrete pouring on the deck, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
the scope of what we do for every project is it's kind of more minute and it's also very specific. So in a
Right.
way it kind of like makes it easier, but in a way it also makes it a lot because I see, for example, like the project engineers that work with a prime contractor, they maybe focus on just one project, right? Managing
Mm.
one specific project or multiple, I don't
Mm.
know, but at least for me it's usually we might have like 3 to 5 or more projects we're working on them at the same time.
Mm.
So we have staff at this project at this location, and then we have a team at this project at this location. We
Yeah.
the scopes of the work is different. The items needed are different. Procuring the materials. So as a project engineer,
Yeah.
I do a lot of actually management because I usually do a lot of procuring the materials that we need for the job.
Right.
Um,
Right. Right. Right.
Scheduling and also um, going out there and doing quality checks and of course we have a
Mm-hmm.
self quality in project, but also going out there make sure that we're doing the scope of the work.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's so overwhelming, but it seems like you have a lot more on your plate than me, definitely.
Nah, it's okay. I mean, like, yeah, we do the quality check as well. Whereas, making sure that it's what the contractor is installing.
Right.
Sorry, it's what we specified.
Uh-huh.
So
So it
we
seems
have a
like you're
scope of
like the
work.
GC, you're the general contractor, and then you have the subcontractor that work with
We
you
are
guys.
no, we are the client.
You're the
We
client.
are the client. Yes,
Uh-huh.
we
Yeah.
own the rail sector. We
Exactly.
put
So
our standards, we put
uh-huh.
our scope of work
Uh-huh.
in a list, and then we pass it on to a designer like
Uh-huh. You
Acom.
have the third party.
Acom do
Uh-huh.
the design,
Mm-hmm.
and then during the time they're doing the design,
Mm-hmm.
on a weekly or 2 weekly basis, we
Mm-hmm.
have a meeting, what we call interdiscipline review,
Mm-hmm.
whereas we review all the design.
Mm-hmm.
So that project can be, it's electrically driven
Mm-hmm.
project, but it has civil element, it has a bridge element, it has structure element, it has
Mm-hmm.
telecom
Right.
communication. You know, it's
Networks.
got
Yeah.
all of it. But you need to all liaise together, work together in a
Yep.
meeting, and then we go over each element
Mm-hmm.
of the design,
Mm-hmm.
uh, you know, highlighting all the risks and then making sure those risks are eliminated as earliest as possible, so
Mm-hmm.
you won't put any delay to the program. So yeah, we give it to the you know, to a company called BAM.
Mm-hmm.
BAM, they're international contractor as well. So they actually manage all our project.
Mm-hmm.
We are responsible, but BAM, we liaise with BAM all the time. So we talk all the time, we work together.
Uh-huh.
And then BAM then subcontract the work.
Mm-hmm.
They don't install it, they
Mm-hmm.
subcontract it to a smaller contractor
Mm-hmm.
who are specialized in different fields,
Yep.
you know,
I see.
and then they install it. So
Mm-hmm.
what we then do, like as a project engineer, I come on site
Mm-hmm.
every time. I make sure that okay, this is installed according to our design, according
Mm-hmm.
to our specification,
Mm-hmm.
and then if anything is non-compliant, you know, we won't authorize it.
Right.
And before it even goes out to design, I mean, sorry, tender,
Mm-hmm.
we want to sign for it if we think, you know, it's not worth, it's not to the standard, to the quality that we said. So
Uh-huh.
it's a lot of work involved. And also
Yeah.
as a project engineer, you imagine you're working with a lot of different project managers,
Yeah.
right? And then
Yeah.
you're working with, so you don't want your element, your side, to actually affect the program of those project management managers as well.
Right.
Because, you know, if let's say somebody like Acom, for example, we tell them, okay, do this design, and then they do it, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I didn't check the design properly.
Mm.
And then, for example, the station have, let's say, this amount of capacity of electrical,
Uh-huh.
and they need to check it, making sure that that station, even, you know, when they're increasing it, the size
Mm-hmm.
of the station,
Mm-hmm. It's
right,
gonna
that
be able to
electricity
accommodate.
can be enough.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or if it's not enough, they have to increase it
Mm-hmm.
before they actually install, make it, you know, expansion, any expansion.
Yeah.
So if they haven't done that, if I didn't do that, I didn't review properly,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the contractor, you know, they're
Right.
doing exactly what they've
You've been
been
told.
told. You know, it's not their fault.
Yeah.
Fault. So you see, so you got a lot of accountability and a lot of responsibility as a project engineer,
Mm-hmm.
especially with the rail sector. Is a moving sector.
Yeah.
It's very very fast.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm
it's
sure. Yeah.
difficult, man. But
It's
yeah,
transportation, man. Is I know, like you really have to work around the schedule, people's schedule, and like what's going
yeah,
on. Oftentimes,
yeah, absolutely.
even like the amount of time you're given to actually come in there and shut down and do the work is
Hmm.
very small
Yeah,
because they don't want to like
that's right.
affect people's travels and going to work and coming
Yeah,
back home. They don't want to upset the people, so it's a lot of
that is
politics
right.
involved. Yeah.
That is right. That's absolutely right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it's one challenging environment, but it's really. I would advise everyone. I mean, you and I, our story is far from being successful,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, it's a good place to be in.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yep.
I would really advise everybody, because people think, as you said earlier, people think engineering is hard. When they
Mm-hmm.
hear engineering, they
Mm-hmm.
think it's hard. It's hard. Everything is hard.
Yep.
Everything is hard. You do is hard. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, the way I look at things is, okay, you wake up every day to go to a job that you don't want to be, and
Mm-hmm.
why would you go? And why can't you put that time and then go and study? You know, like there are good opportunity for engineers out there to progress.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so and it's one course I'm glad I've done it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm doing it. I mean, regardless, I got no regret. You know, I wanted to become a doctor, but now I'm being an engineer.
You
So
can still be a doctor
yeah,
in
so it's
engineering
good.
or something, but that's what I always tell my mom.
Yeah,
It's never too
yeah,
late.
I know. Yeah,
um,
yeah, that's right.
yeah,
That's
that's for
right.
sure. Yeah. So, I guess this kind of leads me to my next point, which is, what do you look forward to at your job? What kind of excites you, about your job?
Oof, oof. Man, your questions.
We're
I say,
going deep.
bro, right. It's basically the satisfaction, the quality of the work. It's not the speed of the work, but the
Mm-hmm.
quality that you do. For I
Mm-hmm.
give you an example. It's not the job that I'm working on now, but when I work for the government in the UK here for 3 years and 3.5 years,
Mm-hmm.
when I completed my course, sorry, my apprenticeship.
Mm-hmm.
So as a junior, I was there as a junior electrical engineer.
Mm-hmm.
So the council, the government, they own about in my local, let's say Southampton, they own about 6,000 properties. I think during that time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot of buildings.
Yep.
That's including schools, police station, fire
Mm-hmm.
stations, government offices,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we were given a project they call capital program. So
Mm-hmm.
the way they've done it, those projects is replacing light fittings, for example, for the number amount of schools,
Mm-hmm.
upgrading power supply for number amount of schools,
Mm-hmm.
improving the fire alarm system and security for number amount of buildings as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually did a lot of project for this local authority, and whereas we changed all the old light fittings to new LED lightings, a
Mm-hmm.
new control system. So now I live in the area. Every time I drive,
You
I
see
see the
that?
school. I say, "Oh, I
Yeah.
actually did this school."
Yep.
You know.
That is the
So
satisfaction. That
so
is
the
amazing.
satisfaction is
Yeah.
really good. The
Yeah.
satisfaction is amazing. So you look at it, you say, "Okay, I actually installed. I designed these light fitting, and the head teacher likes it, the
Yeah.
school like it, and
Uh-huh.
the same thing I'm doing now. So these train station I'm working on, and even though I joined not long ago,
Mm-hmm.
so I actually can say, I took part of it,
Mm-hmm.
and I work in many countries in Europe and
Mm-hmm.
even in America. I was in America in March last
Mm-hmm.
year,
Yeah.
and as well. Imagine I'd go to that station, for example, in New York, and then I'm
Right.
working there. And I'm from London. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, or Guinea. I'm from Guinea. And
Yeah.
look at
That's
this
really
job that
awesome.
I've
Yeah.
done. I took part of
Yeah.
doing. I'm like,
Around the
it's
world.
really good. The
Yeah.
satisfaction is there,
Mm-hmm.
and the quality. As long the quality, and also what excites me is the people as well,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you get very good supportive team,
Mm-hmm.
people that back you up, people that every question that you have, they can, if you cannot resolve it, you approach them, they
Right.
actually help you. So
Mm-hmm.
you learn from these people, regardless how good or bad they are, but you're gonna learn something from them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see, so
Absolutely.
and for me, that also excites me about my role as well. So yeah,
That's awesome, man. And you said a couple of things that I can definitely resonate with, like just the
yeah,
satisfaction of your work. And for me, at least, for some people, like they kind of want to come in the morning. They want to know what it is that they're gonna be doing every day. Like they
mm-hmm.
like the routine, but I get really bored doing that.
Yeah,
I like the fact that it's so many things, like, and you can kind of switch your mind around. You have to think about different things. You have to problem solve different problems. Every kind
yeah,
of project is like brings new challenges and new
mm-hmm.
problems that you have to face and have to resolve, and that kind of
Yeah,
excites me and just keeps me engaged,
yeah.
and yeah, that's I just enjoy it. Some people hate it, but I enjoy it.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. That's right. That
yeah.
is right. Yeah, yeah. So the technicality of the project,
Mm-hmm.
number of people get involved, and all of that. You are actually contributing to, like for example, as I was telling you, even the project I'm working on now, we consider carbon footprint. Or we have to
Mm-hmm.
put new whatever systems in
Mm-hmm.
to reduce the amount of oxygen that goes into the world. So you look
Uh-huh.
at that and say, okay, as an engineer, you are actually taking part of all of that.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's something that really good.
That's
Yeah,
that's really amazing. That's
mm.
awesome, man. And
Yeah, man.
I think
Yeah.
um one of the things also, like being in this industry, especially if you're like a project engineer who's doing hands-on, is like the way you look at the world is different, right? Because like for
Mm-hmm.
example, when I see a plane, right, I don't just see an airplane taking off. I kind of like think about like who was involved in preparing this airplane to be able to take off, like who was
That's right.
involved building it. Like I kind of think of all of that, and I kind of allows me to appreciate it even more, like appreciate the technology and the work involved
Yeah.
behind it
That
you
that
know
that that that's a good point, because that's exactly the reason I became an engineer. Because I told you, the guy, when I met him the
mm-hmm.
first time, he explained me those exactly. He said, "Okay, look at your house. What can you see in your house?
Right.
You see a light switch, you see a heating. When
Mm-hmm.
it's cold outside, you put your heating on, and you
Uh-huh.
become comfortable. Look at the windows. Look at, like, he kept telling me, okay, the road that you drive in, yeah,
Uh-huh.
electric on the road. I mean, you wouldn't see where you're going if everything is dark. Or
Yeah.
look at also the road. The road is built by civil engineers. He gave me so many examples. I'm like, okay, now I look at things exactly what you look at. When I'm on the train, I think about, I don't only how the train was built, but
Mm-hmm.
how the train can be on that track.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You know,
how it was brought on that track. Yeah,
you
who
know
built it, where did
how,
it
like,
come from?
why is the train doing this speed on this track, or why
Yeah.
is the train stopping at this place, or why is this building tall? Why
Mm-hmm.
is everything in this building, is electronic? Everything now you control it via a button. How
Yeah.
did that interface
Yep.
between? So you look at all of it, and then you start thinking about, actually, who did this project?
Yeah.
I mean, how come, all of those? So you think about it, a human, like we all humans, but
Yeah.
like the thing in our mind is so much, man. It's
Yeah. Like
so much that
yeah, what
we
you
can
capable
do
of. Yeah.
if you all work together.
Yeah.
So you look at the building
Absolutely.
and you look at things, you say, okay, as you were looking at that airport like was built by people,
Yeah.
was designed by people at the
Yeah.
same time. So that's why I usually watch a documentary about engineering, like,
Mm-hmm.
mega whatever, mega project.
Yeah. Mega Prime we said
And
is
then,
yeah.
yeah,
I
man,
I'd watch that too.
it's
Yeah.
exciting. It's exciting, man. It's
Yeah.
exciting.
I was
So yeah,
actually yesterday I was watching this project about what Norway is trying to do with like the floating
airport,
yeah,
is it?
the not airport and also
Yeah.
the bridge, like the
Oh,
floating
okay.
kind of the floating bridge that they're trying to do to connect their cities and reduce the
Look
drive
at that.
time. Yeah, so I enjoy watching that kind of stuff and like
Yeah.
the buildings
Yeah,
and stuff like
I
that.
was watching the airport, the Japan airport, because they built one, I think, in the 80s or 90s, the floating airport, and then they extended it
Oh
not long
wow.
ago. They built another one,
Huh, I should
which is
watch
even
that.
better.
I don't know
So
that. I
yeah,
didn't know that.
you can literally move the airport from one place to another.
Wow.
It's
That's
absolutely
awesome.
amazing.
That is crazy,
You
man.
should
That's
watch it.
awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely
Yeah,
look that up.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, man.
But I think
It's good.
just whoever listens, I think they can tell like the excitement and just like the excitement. I think that a lot of us kind of went into this field for this reason, like because your view of the
Hmm.
world is just it's different. Like it's just like you have so much more appreciation for everything, because you kind of like know what is
Yep.
entailed in it. Um, that's really awesome,
Yeah,
man. That's really
I mean, you
awesome.
got to have it. You got to have the appreciation. I mean, doing this job,
Yeah.
uh, you know. But I just want, like, there are so many. I'm glad the fact that you got the podcast working, and you're working on it, because now people like myself and yourself, especially Guinean,
Mhm.
can try and, you know see the benefit of it. I mean,
Mhm.
I may be doing this, you may be doing that, but there are more people that doing even,
Yeah.
better, or whatever.
Yeah.
We can all get involved, and hopefully
Absolutely.
try, use these skills and experience, and valuable skill and experience that we are gaining from these
Mhm.
countries to our own country.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's hopefully the priority as well. So yeah.
Absolutely, man, dude. You said it right on, man. Right on. So, as I want to be respectful of your time. I know we kind of nearing 40 minutes. I see time flies by when you're doing this
Yeah.
and you're actually enjoying it.
I know, man.
Yeah.
I know. I didn't know even it's 40 minutes already.
Yeah. We already in
It's
40 minutes
crazy,
in.
right?
Yeah, it's crazy. So,
Yeah.
um, I guess so. A couple of things, right? For towards the end, one thing I want to do is kind of keep in mind the students who may be kind of tuning into this. They may be listening, right? So they may be listening
Mm-hmm.
to what you're doing now, and they say, hey, like what you're doing sounds really interesting. Like, how can I kind of put myself in the position to kind of be where you are right now? What would you say to them?
Oof, that's another one. You're killing me. It's a uh, it's a difficult one, but I would I would I would have I hard work, patience, and determination. You got to have you got to have these. You
Mm-hmm.
got to try and work as hard as you can. Got
Mm-hmm.
to dedicate yourself. Got to push yourself there. But also, don't just sit back. I mean, I know people like when I was applying for an apprenticeship, for example, I was
Mm-hmm.
completing like 10 applications a day,
Mm-hmm.
literally a day. I was doing that
Oh yeah.
easily,
Wow.
you know.
Wow.
And I meet people who say, "Oh yeah, apply for this job, this apprenticeship." I tell
Uh-huh.
people about it because sometimes I get text messages, people like asking me, Djoulde, how did you become an engineer? So I explain to them, and I'm happy to help.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really happy to help. I tell them, some people I even tell them how much I make. It's not like to show up, but it's
Uh-huh.
just for them to understand. You know, I'm not making a lot of money, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
way better off the job that I was doing way back,
Mm-hmm.
or even some of the job that they're doing.
Yeah.
You know,
And you
just like
also get that
somebody else making
fulfillment.
more
You
money than I am.
don't, not to
But
mention
yeah,
like
I mean,
that
I see
fulfillment is priceless.
absolutely
Like,
correct. Yeah,
yeah.
and while I'm getting the experience, at the same time, as I said, zero debt. So the word I would put to them is to actually try as hard as they can and not to give up.
Mm-hmm.
And when you want something, go for it,
Mm-hmm.
and don't just go for it and then say, oh, you know what, because this didn't work, I'm gonna quit, I'm gonna go try something else. There's
Mm-hmm.
no such, I mean, some people say, okay, this is my plan B. For me, there's no such as plan B. There's
Mm-hmm.
always plan A.
Yeah.
you know I
Mm-hmm.
mean, if that plan don't work, you move to another plan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that plan become your plan A again.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I
you
see
know
that. Yeah.
so just I mean, focus, hard work, determination, and yeah, like patience is the key as well. I mean, if you
All
got
right.
the patience,
Mm-hmm.
because some people, like what happened to most of us, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we want to get rich straight away. We want to get the big bucks, drive this type of car, have their own house. It's a good thing,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
but nothing can be gained easy. You
Yeah.
got to work hard for it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have to.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people do, they go trying to make money, and
Uh-huh.
when it doesn't work the way they want to be done, and then now it's already late.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for them,
Uh-huh.
already late, but there's nothing too late.
Yeah.
There's nothing too late. You can always go back and study,
Mm-hmm.
start from scratch, and get it. But some people I do understand, because they have family pressure back home, especially if your family back home
Yeah, if you are an immigrant, yeah, I know
and
it's
support
challenging
those people.
sometimes.
It's not as easy as everybody.
Yeah.
But for those who can actually do it,
Mm-hmm.
I think, I would say to those young people or whoever want to become an engineer, I
Mm-hmm.
think the best thing is what I told you earlier. Yeah.
Okay. So how I understand your thing. So let's say for example like a kid he wants to be involved in like the railway industry or something like that, a student. Like
Mm-hmm.
do you have any like for
Mm-hmm.
example any way to kind of you know for them to make their experience more attractive like for to work in that railway industry, like is there anything like that that you would advise them to do?
Yeah, I think well, if they are like in school, for example, I would advise them to do like sciences, like math and physics. It's very important in the railway sector.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, they can do math. It doesn't have to be all of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know in America, but in the UK we have something they call work experience.
Mm-hmm.
Work experience for people under I think is from 16 to below. I
Okay.
think from 10, no, not 10, but I would say 12 to 16 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You do work experience with companies. Like I took my sister, my younger sister. She was, I think, yeah, she was. 16 back then. I took her to ACOM. She did a work experience for 2 weeks. She didn't want to become an engineer. She wanted to become completely different thing. But I took her to ACOM, and then she did 2 weeks training with the management. It's only for me. She's lucky because I'm there already.
Right.
But if you don't have that, it's you got to be in contact with people as well, I think. But if you're it's a difficult question to answer, but in terms of education wise, you can, because I don't want to be specific for one individual, which is my sister or other people who are already in the industry. Like you, if you got brother, you can take them to your company, they speak to your manager, and then your manager can agree for them to come in and do work experience there. For us, for you and I, possibly it's not the case, but for people who don't have that advantage, I never had my dad or brother who went to become an engineer. It was a very difficult choice. Therefore, why I did the apprenticeship route.
Right.
Because if I didn't like it doing the apprenticeship, the physical work, then I would not like.
You're not gonna get a degree on it.
Absolutely, yeah. Why would I get a degree on it?
Yeah.
I can change because I could go to university when I completed my A level.
Yeah.
But I decided to do an apprenticeship. But it's not everybody who have the same mentality, which I understand. But I would say, in terms of academic side, people to concentrate in the sciences like math and math, physics, and chemistry if they can.
Okay. So, to be a little bit like, I guess. So now, for example, let's say, I'm thinking, for example, I'm trying to put myself back 2 or 3 years ago when I was already like in engineering school, right? Because sometimes a lot of what I noticed when I was in engineering school, like a lot of us were doing engineering, but we didn't really know what we wanted to do with it, right?
Yeah.
So, let's say, for example, like someone who's already listening to engineering school, and they listen to this and they say, hey, seems like what you do with I want to work with trains and rails, is there anything that you might guide them, for example, to make them look, make their experience or any experience that you think make them more attractive, like for somebody like ACOM or anybody else, or and do you have anything like that you can think of? I'm trying to pull things out of you.
No, it's a good question. This is a really good question. But I feel like there's no right and wrong answers. It's a very broad question. So if you're doing an engineering school, because exactly you mentioned again a very good point. Somebody with an engineering school already, they don't know what type of engineering they're doing. Definitely, you know what you're doing. You know the engineering. People think engineering is one. Some people who never done engineering, they think engineering is one. They don't know you got civil engineer, electrical and mechanical engineer, you got aeronautic engineer, and even electrical engineer. You got different electrical engineer who work in the electronic sector, and different electrical engineer who work in the building sector, and rail sector is different, but it's all the same principle. So I would say, for me, if you look at myself, for example, I give an example for myself. I was young, I never knew about engineering. So I did my apprenticeship, and then I went to university while I was working. I'm working. But if you look at my career, I changed department. I changed the sectors. I didn't go down. I always go up. But I changed sectors in between. So I did building services engineer, electrical engineering, building services. So until 2018, I went to the rail sector. So when I joined the rail sector, it's all the same. Rail, you work on HV side. Building, you can do HV, but majority of the project I was doing is LV, low voltage. But the rails low and medium voltage in building. But the rail, you work on low, medium, and HV, high voltage. So it depends on because for me, I've got experience. I say, you know what, I've been in the building services for about 7 years. I now need, let me see what's on the infrastructure sector, transportation sector. So because I want to broaden my experience, for future. Because I'm looking for the future, what's going to happen. I don't want to become in one field only. Whereas there's no big option. I would say to people, really, to broaden their experience. If you want to become an electrical engineer or mechanical engineer, go and work in mechanical sector. But if you work as a mechanical engineer, you can be energy engineer. Energy engineer, you can be mechanical or electrical. So now you got those type of skills. Or you can work in data centers, or you can work in Prida. I think when if you are a student, it's you got to, if you don't know what you want to do, I think the best option is try to, these conversations that we having is very important. I mean, if when I'm looking back when I was an apprentice,
I got you.
because if I didn't know how building services were, nobody told me how building services work. Even though the guy gave me an idea, but I had, wow, engineering is exciting, but nobody told me actually go and do it. I went and did it, and then I end up liking it.
I see.
Right?
So
And then, so it's a very
exposure,
difficult one to answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, exposure. Like to try to, but for those engineers you're talking about, those students, you got. I think the best thing is trying to connect with the right people, try to listen to the right people, and then maybe career event. You help people, attend those career events, and then find out really what type of sector you want to be on.
Alrighty, man. I think it's not like a one size fits all, and it's not like one right answer. So I think what you said is right.
Yeah.
Definitely, man.
Yeah.
So with that being said, now if somebody had questions for you or anything like that, how can they reach you? You know,
You got my number.
You want me to give them your number?
I don't mind, man.
You
I
sure?
don't mind. Go, I don't mind, brother.
All right. Okay.
I absolutely don't mind. If somebody want an advice regarding engineering that I am involved in the rail sector or building services, I'm more than happy. Pass them my number. I don't mind.
All right.
So,
Okay. Cool.
you know,
Awesome. That's very generous of you, man. That's very
I like
generous of you.
whatever I want to share with people.
Uh-huh.
If I can do it, so why somebody cannot do it? So, but I'm not here to try and say, okay, you know what, I'm private. I'm a private person. I'm a private person, but being private is not. If somebody call you, start insulting, you can block them.
True. That's that is definitely true. Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? So you got the control. So and it's not about that. You just want to share your knowledge to other people as well. What you have learned. I mean, the same thing. I learned from other people. I've got a lot of people on LinkedIn. Especially when I work with ACOM. I never knew a lot of people Guinean. There's not a lot of Guinean because you can literally type the name and then a lot of Guinean comes in, the name.
Yeah.
But
Just search Mamadou or something.
One in France, one in France, one in United States, and he's also, I think the one in United States, he's a mechanical engineer, but within the rail sector. But he's really good. So we become friends, and then sometimes he gave me advice and whatever. So it's connecting with the right people is really important.
Yeah.
Because you learn a lot. Everybody give them their thought and what they think, and then you analyze it. Yeah, I think
Alrighty, man. Hey, this was a great conversation, man. We could go on forever. Honestly, I feel like, but we already like past 50 minutes in, so I know you got wifey and the kiddos waiting for you. So I really appreciate you taking the time to come on here. I think this podcast is off to a great start, and I couldn't be luckier to have anyone, any other a person come on here as a guest. So I definitely am humbled and I'm thankful to have you on here as a guest, man.
No, thank you very much, brother. Every time, anytime, don't feel shy. You know me, you know. So yeah, I feel really proud to take part of this project, and I really hope we take off in a good foot, and hopefully, spread the love out there and spread the industry out there as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much for inviting me, and
Absolutely.
I'm really happy to be part of it.
Absolutely.